back. Recording is in progress. Hello and thank you and welcome to the new board and the new class, which is just the same as in all of the good ways and better than in all of the other new ways, the old class. But Scott and I are super happy to be here today. This is my first meeting officially as co-presidents. In our discussions, we figured out it's going to be co-president John Slade and co-president Scott Olson. We're going to be just doing things today. And what we wanted to do, since there are some folks who are new to the board or new to new positions on the board, we're going to start off by changing our agenda a little bit and just starting with some time for us to check in with each other, kind of introductions, check-ins, and asking folks what they want to see in 2020, either for themselves or for class. Scott, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, hello again, everybody. Scott Olson. Day job is with Nutrax, and the job with John is, as he mentioned, co-president of class. So I can't begin to tell you how excited I am to, this sounds selfish, to be handing off half of the reins to John, but also to be involved with more familiar faces that are stepping up to some of the new roles. So I think it's fantastic. We've got some really good things going. We will share.
And Scott just froze for me. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take that as a sign that it's time for me to move the agenda along. There you go. You're back again.
Oh, everything was freezing up. Could you hear?
Yeah. No, we didn't hear a thing.
Oh, now I have a sign. Your internet connection is unstable. So
yeah. All right.
So I was just saying that happy to be here and excited for this team and celebrating another year older today. So.
As in, it's your birthday today, Scott?
Today is my birthday.
Happy
Yes.
birthday
to you. Happy
You don't want that on recording.
To you. It's on the recording. Happy birthday, dear Scott. Happy birthday to you, and many more.
Yeah, I had my brother and my son take me out to lunch, and I was scrambling to get back here on time. So happy I could make it.
All right. So what we're going to start out with is a check-in from any board member and community liaison attending. We've got probably half an hour for that. And just two simple check-in questions. What would you like to accomplish in 2022, personally or professionally? And what would you like to see class accomplish in 2022? Let's see, I've got a timer right here so I can keep a rough, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes per person. Hit that. I can either model this for folks or if folks wanted to just move forward. This is, there's two things that I'm hoping that we can get. One is a better idea of who each of us are, these little faces on this Zoom call. Some folks that we've met in person and some we haven't seen for a long time, but also to kind of start figuring a little bit on what 2022 is going to bring for class. So it's kind of a pre-strategic planning kind of question. So with that, does anybody feel a desire to speak?
And especially, I would say, our community liaisons, since we may have to lose 2 of you quickly, I'd love to hear from you guys before you head it out.
Are you including me in that? I don't have to leave till 2:30. So.
Oh, I saw. Okay, sorry.
But I saw Tracy take that big sigh and reach forward and click that mic on. So, Tracy, what do you want to see yourself for 2022, and what do you want to see for class for 2022?
Well, there is this is going to sound negative, and it's not in any way intended to be negative, but there's been a lot of change at the city, and I'm coming off the tail of a lot of rather large projects, going into a lot of rather large projects. And so really just being able to navigate that change in a positive way and build on that and move forward with positive outcomes in the upcoming projects and building on the work from the previous projects that are wrapping up is what I hope for. And then as far as class goes, I would say, building on the momentum that you have with new folks in place and continuing the work that you do in the community, I would say with your advocacy would be wonderful to see.
Is there any one kind of project that the big projects that are wrapping up, any one that you're particularly proud of?
Oh, I am I'm proud of all of my little babies. I would say it's pretty, no, I can't say there's one I'm particularly proud of. I would say the three I'm most proud of is we had a community conversation on race series in partnership with Many Faces and Minnesota Humanities Center, and I hope that work continues. I think it's very important work. We are presenting tomorrow to our council the work of the Welcoming and Inclusive Community Task Force, which is very important work, and I think it's important work in the context of what you do as well, because this is really meant to ensure the community is a place where everyone feels like they belong, regardless of their identity, and that includes people who are aging. I mean, we're all aging, but it includes seniors, and it's not just a race-based conversation or it encompasses all identities. And then as the housing person for the city, we did a housing task force project, and it was a huge amount of work and involved a lot of community members. And I think if our council moves forward with some of the recommendations that were put forth by the task force, that'll do a lot to improve housing options in the community for a lot of people. And that includes seniors as well. One of the big recommendations was broadening the type of housing available, and so that there's housing for people at various stages in their life and life cycle.
All right, thank you so much. There you go. It was easy. Who's next?
I'll go next. I kind of missed what we were supposed to say.
It is. I got it right in front of me here. It is. Oh, wait, no, I've moved it. It's moved. What would you like to accomplish in 2022 yourself, either personally or professionally or both? And what would you like class to accomplish in 2022?
Sure. Well, I'll introduce myself for the couple people who may not know me. I'm Michelle Hubbard. I work for Community Services and Recreation. I am the adult programmer, but I'm housed in the senior center. I want to apologize. I'm at home. I've been sick for 5 days, so I sound kind of nasally. And I have a 20-year-old daughter traveling to LA by herself right now. So if I suddenly bug out, we're both kind of nervous at the moment. She's navigating the airport as we speak. One of the things I hope for myself, at the senior center is to keep the momentum we have going with our adult programs and including more seniors in them, remembering that seniors are adults, not just seniors. We've done a whole bunch of new programs to bring out the community a little bit more. We've been doing a TGI Foods. We do Food Truck Fridays. We just ran our first winter senior housing day, and we're getting great responses from everyone, how we're getting new stuff in there. So I'd like to continue that momentum and grow that as well. And I think with class, what my goal would be is I haven't been directly involved in class before. So learning more what you all do and helping promote that through my avenues at the senior center, including what Tracy said about Many Faces, because I'm part of that as well. Kind of getting us all linked together, knowing what's going on more.
So the seniors, your office has been awesome. Of course, class would not be as it is without all the folks that have come out of there.
I have big shoes to fill.
Right. You had talked about, did you say a senior housing day?
Yeah, we just did a senior housing day 2 weeks ago, I think, on a Saturday. At 10 to 2, we invited about we invited all of the housing places. We had, I think, like 13 show up. We had a few drop because of COVID, but we had about 100. Scott, you were there. What do you think? Like 130 people? came through the
Nice.
door?
Yeah, it was steady traffic coming through for those 4 hours.
We've got a good feedback. People were signing up for tours and folks were thanking us for allowing them to come to one place and kind of get their basic info they needed, it was good.
Michelle, is there some place where we can get on a mailing list to be notified of that stuff? Because I was
Yeah,
completely
I-
unaware.
Yeah, it was absolutely. I will write you down. We are hoping to do one again, like end of August, beginning of September. Folks really like coming, but there's always new people looking for senior housing. And then if we did it at that time of year, we might catch more of those snowbirds and get a different crowd. And then we could add a food truck in there just to be fun. Who knows?
Michelle, one thing I might add for the team to know is that in the midst of COVID, when everyone was shut down, I'm gonna stab a guess here, but I think the senior center was one of the first buildings that opened up shortly, well, a few months after COVID, and
It was
continued to
for-
offer things.
It was for the longest, loneliest weeks without anyone in the building. And we were able to convince the powers that be at the school district that foot care was a necessary thing for seniors. It was an essential service, and that's what brought us back. Toenails.
Excellent.
Yeah, they keep growing even when there's COVID.
And Michelle is our new treasurer as well. You forgot to mention that.
Oh, yes. Big shoes.
Absolutely. Well, now you've left your big shoes for somebody else to step in on this check-in. Who wants to go next? I see Lynn.
I can go next. Kudos to everybody at the senior program. You guys are rocking it over there. So I'm Lynn Ammon. I think I know everyone on the call. I work with Ling Bloomston, the second half programming. That's the community-based arm of the Ling Bloomston organization. He typically officed out of the Redeemer Lutheran Church here in South White Bear. Just recently passed our office over to one of the individuals that needed it in the staff there. So we are now officially still serving in White Bear. We'll have programming at Redeemer and local churches, but not officed out of that. I'm going to home office. I live 3 blocks from the church. So still South Side representing this community and still the liaison for the Northeast Metro. Doesn't change much outward facing because starting this spring we will. So one of my goals to accomplish in this year, and I've spent almost half of the last year forming, we're starting a new partnership working with the Faith Community Nurse Network. And I am the lead staff person that's coordinating all of our evidence-based health and wellness programs that we'll be bringing into community. We started them last week, virtually, first quarter, second quarter, launching in person, doing at least 3 every quarter, 6 and 8 week evidence-based programs. Looking very much forward. The partnership is an amazing program. They have access to and will bring into our community interns in the nursing field and the social work field because of how Faith Community Nurse Network of the Twin Cities sits. They have partnerships. So I'm looking forward to that part of my role. We're bringing new people into the scope of community-based service. And as far as class goes, because the programming that we're doing does still scope a lot for the non-traditional, whether it be individuals, families living with, starting to live with cognitive impairments, memory loss, dementia, sort of that customized, non-secular type, aging with support, aging with services. That's how we're housed. That I look forward to continuing to be that resource to the community as we look to doing some programming or offerings around, dementia awareness, awareness of that scope of the people living in community, because folks with dementia are getting diagnosed earlier, which then means they're living in community at that time. And I think the awareness around that, I can see myself having having a role in that as the year progresses through class, through this organization. So that's how I see some things hoping to accomplish for this year.
So will we come to the office at your house then? Is that?
Yeah, and
Those
everyone,
are the-
I have a wonderful front deck and back deck. I say my
Ah,
house is a 60s house. I entertain in any season but winter. Because we've got lots of outdoor space. Yeah, absolutely.
excellent. All right, who's next?
I can go next. For those of you who don't know me, I am Julia Wolf, and I lead the Healthy Aging Initiative at St. Paul Ramsey County Public Health. So we work in St. Paul and across the county. I've worked with a whole bunch of you before, which has been awesome. I have a mailing list that goes out weekly and then monthly about resources for healthy aging. Be happy to add you, Tracy, to that mailing list. I think everyone else is on it. If not, let me know. So there's a couple things that I do. One is networking groups. We're trying to clear up some confusion about those, but I'm going to send out an email to everybody explaining them. That's quarterly. The other is a monthly meeting that's called the Age Friendly Initiative for Ramsey County. And we are absolutely looking for more people to join us. So we have come to the end of the first phase, and we are about to deliver our current state assessment of where Ramsey County is in terms of livability and age friendliness. And then in March 22nd, it looks like, a group of us are going to be presenting the explanation of age-friendly communities and county to the County Board of Commissioners. And there's a few asks that we have for them. And then we're going to move forward. It's a multi-phase project, so we'll move forward into action planning and bringing in more community and things like that. So I think the March 22nd date is really all of the update I've got. And Diane knows this, I think, that there is a separate meeting, not mine, that is the St. Paul Mayor's Advisory Council on Aging, ACOA, not mine. And that group meets monthly, convened by St. Paul. They are working currently on developing a very brief, very high level directory to services. It will be services in St. Paul because that's their focus. And so they're working on that, and I'm doing some consulting on that. So that is it. I cannot be a member of either of these groups because at some point when I have a budget, which hasn't happened yet, I want to be able to give you all money, and I can't do that if I'm on the board. So I am your county liaison to the board. That's it. I think that's it.
Excellent. All right. Diane Graham-Raff.
Yep, I was thinking, okay, I'll follow that up with a similar message. So for those of you that I haven't worked with, and those of you that I have really enjoyed our work and continue to work. I work for Trellis, which is the area agency on aging that serves the 7-county metro. And so our organization does everything from senior linkage line, return to community, and pre-admission screening for people either moving into assisted living or hoping to get out of a nursing home or hospital and back home, those kinds of things. But what I do is I work with providers to help them build their sustainability. So December and January, I worked with Terry Foley, who is at the Leading Age Foundation, and we did a grant writing 101 class. And we will repeat that in either July or August. Haven't picked a date yet, but we've been asked to do that again before the fall grant writing season opens up. And I'll be hosting some other kind of trainings around sustainability. Right now, we're in the middle of this big push for anybody who's working on Live Well at Home grants, which is the state's big aging services funding thing. And those are all due on April Fool's Day. I thought that was fairly appropriate this year. And so that's what I do. And let's see, personal goals for this year are to actually do some sort of a solo adventure kind of thing. Haven't quite figured out, but I got a backpack for Christmas because I asked for it, because if I have it, I have to use it. And these things have been on my bucket list way too long. Last year, I asked for a better sleeping bag because I wanted to go winter camping, and I did. And I did better than my now almost 29-year-old son. But yeah, so these are all good things anyway. And for Trellis, we're kind of like Julia's thing can't be on the board because there may end up being conflict of interest between, some of you and folks that I'm helping through some funding processes. But we did actually put in for a check for membership dues so that we could actually join class. So we'll see if that comes through so that we could at least be official members of class.
Great. All right. Nobody has been taking the 4 minutes that I said everybody could have.
I
we
think
got
I forgot
Tracy-
to add anything personal.
Yes,
which
you
is-
did. Give it. Come on.
Yes, I did. So my goal is to do yoga 3 or 4 times a week. I've given myself permission not to do it every day, which is setting myself up to fail. So that's the plan, to be a little more physically active because I've been sitting on my butt for the last 3 years now. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Allie, Scott, Kate, Katie, and me. Who
I
wants to
can
go?
go.
Yay.
Those that don't know me, I am Allie Lukin. I am the recreation coordinator for the city of New Brighton. I oversee all of our senior and active adult activities in conjunction with a couple of our youth programs as well. So in a nutshell, I take care of all of our senior center, kind of like Michelle. It's great to have our seniors here. Here at work, it's just the constant trying to keep up with creating new programs and keeping our seniors or our active adults is what I really try to prefer to talk to them as, coming back and keeping them engaged, especially with COVID. So many of them have felt that families have separated, and just that not having people to talk to face, especially if they don't live in a senior living housing unit and they live at their own home, which is great. I'm a big supporter of staying in your house as long as you can, but at that same point, that loneliness sets in. So I keep laughing because I keep looking at my door as seniors keep walking by waving. I feel like my door becomes that revolving door, and they just want to tell you exactly what they did last night and what they ate for dinner last night. And I can't complain. I love having them. At the same point, though, it makes getting work done a little harder. But if that's what I need to do, then that's what I need to do. And I can't deny that, and nor would I ever want to deny anybody of that. So if I am that one and only friendly face that they see for the whole week, so be it. What do I want to accomplish? Well, personally, I would like to accomplish having my child in 2 weeks and not like anytime soon. I need 2 more weeks in the office before this baby comes. Technically, I should have 3, but we'll cross our fingers if I can make it that long. So yeah, it would be adjusting to some of that, being a mom of 3 instead of a mom of 2, and just life changing in our household as our kids are growing and changing as in themselves. What would I want to accomplish with class? For me, Katie's actually the one who told me about class. I have been in this field for over 15 years, I think. And I have been on the east side quite a bit. I grew up on the east side here. I grew up in Maplewood, and my grandma still lives in Maplewood. My parents still live in Maplewood, and I never knew of class, which from Park and Rec was a shocker to me because we all know about everything at Park and Rec. And so to me, it's trying to figure out how can we get our message and what we want to accomplish out to more people so that more people can either be a part of our group or so that we can become a stronger group and help those seniors that need our help the most. And that's really what I'm looking to do. I kind of joke that I fell into this job to serve. I don't do it for the paycheck. However, it would be nice to get a better paycheck, but my job is to serve. And so any way that I can serve our community to help our community grow and be stronger is really what I strive for. So I'm hoping that class can do that with me and we can make that kind of work and figure out where the holes are and either fill them or at least have a plan to somehow fill them, or at least know of them so we can start to look at filling them.
Excellent. All right, Scott, Kate, Katie, me?
I'll take a leap in here specifically because Allie said something that caught my ear. You grew up in Maplewood. I feel like we've been intending to have conversations offline, and I'm sure if we were in person, it'd be a lot easier. I'm terrible about that, like, yeah, let's connect, and I'll send an email and then it drops off. I'm sure that you know how that goes. But I want to have this conversation. Maybe when you're on maternity leave and you need a little extra hand, like somebody holding the baby while you chase your other child around in their diaper. Who knows? I don't know what the age range is, but I'm putting this out there right now that we should connect once you've checked off the list. So I will send you another email, and this time maybe with my phone number for that reason. But aside from that, see, John, I'm using up some of your 4 minutes. Congratulations. And it's all recorded for posterity. I did the crazy thing and I started my own business, and then I said that's not enough, and I did 2 businesses. So I actually operate under 2 hats with class. The initial one that brought me in was Kate's Musical Memories, and I still remember the very first time when I walked into Tara's office after I left my last job, and she's like, I think you'd be good for this. Here you go. And months later, I connected with class, and then a pandemic hit, and it actually evolved into me doing freelancing. So that's where I've had the joy of learning how to do website design and really try and promote and expand on what class can share with the community, because like Allie, I didn't know class existed. I worked for many years in nursing homes, working in the life enrichment department as a music therapist and an activities coordinator. And that's what my Kate's Musical Memories business is now based on, is taking what I learned in the skilled nursing facilities, but being able to share that across multiple facilities and providing it with kind of that music therapy scope, but also individual clients and teaching students. So class is very important for that, because when I come in and I interact with people or meet people within my community, I'm able to direct them to the specialties that I've met and learned about in class. And so kind of my goals for this next year, I've been finding myself on that nice, strong burnout. This time last year, my grandfather passed away, so it's a hard time for me. But we've gotten through the year of firsts, and so we leave for Hawaii next week. I'm so sorry, John. I'm not going to be at your lunch and learn. I have been as close to lockdown as I can be, because I cannot miss this chance to have a real vacation and just recharge so that I can have the energies to put in, because I think class has some great things that we're looking at doing in this next year. Really excited that we've developed as much. Scott, thank you for helping me keep this afloat, because it really is one of the greatest joys and successes that I've had in this past year, mostly because the work comes from the heart. It's not about, like I say, it'd be nice to be paid, but it's not about getting paid. It's about doing the right thing for others and building community, especially when community has been something really hard to have, and to not, even when you are in community, not to feel like you're censoring yourself in some way, whether it's with a mask, whether it's with being distanced. it takes a toll. And so this work helps to release some of that anxiety that comes from just trying to live your life. So thanks, class.
All
How'd I do
right.
in time? Did I hit my time?
You got about 30 seconds that you could have had. But it's all good. It's all good. So being and Scott and Katie Everett, are you good to go, Katie?
Can go. I have a very small house and my furnace just kicked on. So if it sounds like I'm in a wind turbine, I'm not. It's just my heat. So I am the recreation supervisor with the city of Venice Heights. I do programming for all of our ages, city events, those kinds of things. Yesterday at 7 a.m. we had an Olympic watch party, which was super fun and super early. So all of those kinds of things have been really fun. It's always like when things come up, we figure out how to do them. So we have a small team, but that was a fun one to put together. So I think for 2022, it's kind of feeling like maybe we'll get back to some things. So I started my job in March of 2019 and had planned on a year of just doing things the way Venice Heights had been doing them to see kind of what works and what doesn't. And then March of 2020 came and nothing mattered anymore. So it was, there's kind of a little bit of the like 2-year lag time of trying to start implementing ideas that I had. And then also just like some of that no longer makes any sense at all. So kind of really reimagining a lot of things. But we're right now working on putting out our spring newsletter. So it's like crunch time to get all of the summer stuff planned. And I think it's looking like it's going to be a really fun year. We'll get people back in some of our traditional programs and do summer events are around the corner, believe it or not. So tomorrow afternoon, we're having our second senior lunch at the Commons. So we've got, I'm expecting about 70 seniors for this one. We just serve them lunch and play bingo, and that's just a fun couple of hours. So yeah, kind of getting back to it. I think 2020, oh, here's my dog again. Hi, Maggie. I think personally, just like feeling more human again will be good. I have no like big travel plans, but I was just talking with my brother lives down in Florida. They're trying to come up for the kids' spring break and kind of seeing people again, hopefully. So I think for class, as a small city, knowing the network of resources available when people call us is really, really helpful. It would be awesome if all of us had the ability to do everything for everyone, but that's not real life. So being able to have connections with who to talk to if you've got questions is a really big thing. So kind of continuing to bring more people into the fold and kind of sharing that information out. I think just kind of continuing that work will be really good.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Maggie. And Scott, do you want to go first or second here?
I'll let you finish it up, John. I'll go.
Okay.
First of all, Julia, you do your yoga. I think this is my yoga stretch from before. That's the best I can do. That's all you'll get.
Oh,
So,
yeah, see,
yep,
Lynn
there we
knows
go.
eagle pose. Look at her.
Oh,
She's doing
there we
eagle
go.
pose. I
Good,
love eagle
good.
pose. It's a good
And Ally,
stretch
quick
across your
question.
shoulders.
Yeah, maybe you'll have to
My
put on a class for us
my
to get.
YMCA days
Yep.
coming into full force.
What's that, Lynn?
My YMCA days coming into full. Anytime you want to break out into yoga, I am here for you.
Julia, maybe when the class board gets really stressed, you'll have to
Yeah.
lead us in a session coming
Yes,
up here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And stretching a little is better than not stretching at all. So
Oh,
Totally.
yes, yes. Ally, quick question. Your dad's name isn't by chance Rob, is it?
What was that?
Is your dad's name by chance Rob?
No.
Okay.
Why?
not
What
many-
can I?
Well, there's not many Lukens, and I went to school with Rob Luken in Maplewood, so that's why I thought I would. ask.
That would be my Uncle Rob.
Oh, all right. Excellent.
He just retired from his chiropractic practice that he owned in Egan.
Wow, very
So
good.
yeah,
Very
yes,
good. I
there's
had-
3 of those boys. No, my
Yeah.
dad is the semi-retired, I guess you could say, fire chief for the city of Maplewood. So he retired last December, last January, something like that. And then the city begged him not to retire though. And so they hired him back for 3 more years on a part-time basis, I guess. So he's got a 3-year contract, but you know, he loves what he does. And I don't think I think he wanted the freedom of being retired, but wasn't quite ready to be done with the fire department. And so we'll see when he actually decides to be done, but yeah.
Well, your
Awesome.
dad's a great resource though. He's actually has a reputation for working with seniors. He's done some actual reputable, the city of White Bear Lake has referenced his work.
Yeah.
In the falls prevention and
Yep.
all the visits, the safety visits that he's actually, we could learn a lot from him. Oh, I love that you're on our board. I can see potential crossover.
All right,
And
Scott,
you know,
I've
he might be a
restarted.
good lunch and learn he might be a good lunch and learn to bring
Yes.
into. I know he'd be more than happy to help. You know, and I've got other resources like that too if we're in need, but I know his big thing right now is still obviously the fire department, but he's working a lot with the homeless population in Maplewood and trying
Okay.
to figure some of that stuff out and put them where they need to go, not put them, but direct them in the right paths and helping them that way too. So but yeah.
Okay, Scott, I've started your timer again.
No, I won't take as much because those were questions I asked that was on my time, so I'll keep it short here. Again, Scott with Nutrax. And I was going to just add something in here that, you know, there's been so many unfortunate things through COVID that have affected everybody's business, and transportation has been one of them for a lot of companies, but fortunately not for Nutrax. We have been able to thrive because I feel we were big enough to not buckle under some of the pressure. Not that we haven't had our own issues, you know, keeping drivers has been really tough. Attracting new drivers has been tough, but there's been a lot of different organizations who have lost their transportation, and we've been able to take over for a lot of that. And we've been able to accentuate what we do, transporting people in addition to transporting food to people. It's been a very big 1.5 years for us. So we're very blessed and thankful. You know, somebody else's downturn was our upturn, but we're happy that we were able to continue carrying the torch where the need was. So that's from a professional basis. For me personally, for the year, what I'd love to do is continue that growth, find out how we can continue to serve in community from a transportation standpoint, be as involved as possible where and when we can. For class, today was a great example of what I want to keep having grow, and that is a group of people that can come together, be a little goofy at times, have a professional side to us, be able to help each other, and realize that, you know, everything is stressful enough as it is. So let's come together while we're doing service together. This doesn't have to be difficult. And by doing it that way, I think we can attract more individuals who will see that this work that we do together as a class organization isn't incredibly difficult, but it's incredibly inspiring when we look at the greater cause. So to be able to keep that going, and in addition, really have people understand that class doesn't get together to work on any one given project for a service to seniors, but we really work at empowering senior service providers to have them be known out and about. And as we take a look at filling in our website with the number of members and a number of service providers out there, I'd love to think of class as we could be that go-to for so many different services that are provided out there, help all of those service providers become more entwined with each other, And from there, that's when the individual work with seniors takes place. Every one of us do our own senior work. We don't have to do that individually with class. We do that as a bond together, and that would be my goal for perpetuating 2022 and having more events that bring senior service providers together. And with that, I'll close.
All right. So what a wonderful, so first off, I just have to say, I'm so thankful for a lot of things. First off, for Scott and Kate for the kind of carrying us through the hard times, the 40 degrees below uphill both ways part of the pandemic. Super, yes. Well, and also the folks of the pre-COVID, just before COVID, you know, I'm in class and in my position since before COVID. I remember what it was like in those days. And so when I'm looking forward to 2022, I am looking for, okay, here's what we got. We're probably going to be able to get into the world a little more, but we've not been totally isolated from the world throughout these times, and we've been finding new ways to get connected. And so, you know, continuing the networking thing and the class networking work has been great. I want to look at a little bit at Micah for as far as Micah is concerned. I know that Tracy said she doesn't mean it in a bad way. There's lots of change at White Bear Lake. A couple of the newly elected officials are less slanted in the direction that Micah would love in White Bear Lake, but that's an ability to, we had our legislative breakfast. We're looking to build relationships. We're looking to have conversations with some of those folks. I think that in Micah, we've got a church base, we've got congregation base, and then community work. So I'm here, but we're probably going to be doing some more kind of core base building in our home congregations. If we could only bring Julia's beautiful shoulder accoutrement there.
Come on up. Well, I'm have to go in a minute, but I'm going to turn my video off so you don't have to see my cat clawing my back.
Okay, well, I hope that it's a good thing for everyone there. So we're going to be doing more church-based stuff. I actually, Micah's budget was kind of impacted by churches not meeting. And so we've got, our budgets are slowly coming back. So I've got more time to do Northeast work, which I'm pretty excited about. I also wanted to say a big thanks to me personally. Yes, I want to walk the dog at least more days a week, if not every day. That will be good for me and my blood sugar. But also I have had conversations with my mother about her memory. She's 82. I remember asking Diane Graham Raff, I think it was Diane, I'm like, who's your equivalent down in the Winona area? Because I've got that, and it is profoundly comforting to me as I'm dealing with my mom and her journey to have you guys already be in my life. And so that is that something that we can spread out to folks? Is that something that we can spread out in 2022? I'm also almost at the end of my time. I very much want to see us doing our education and advocacy work as we'll do it in 2022. The Lunch and Learns are our way to do it, but I'd like to see us working on the transit and the housing and the age friendly and dementia friendly. I think those are our 4 pillars. Is that right? I think that we can have some great time to do some great work. And I also think that we had a wonderful time doing this. Thanks for everybody who had to leave now. Do we want to go at this point? And this is what in my faith community, we call transparent processing. Scott, should we talk about the lunch and learn or go to some of our executive team reports?
Well, let's see, John, last week we had planned out how we wanted to do this agenda, and I thought you had just a brilliant idea to make certain that we had people included before they had to leave. This is a little bit of an unusual board meeting. We won't act this way every time, but this was a great way to kind of get introduced. So, John, however you feel you'd like to do this, bringing up, we know what the important discussion is about different duties that we're all going to be taking a look at here. So I hand it over to you and say, have at it. That it's
all right. Well,
fluid here.
So super briefly on February 16th, me and Bill Gray from the Minnesota Homeownership Society are our presenters at our first lunch and learn dates. We're going to be talking specifically about resources that seniors can get access to in terms of housing. He'll be focusing, as the Homeownership Society does, on homeownership. I'll be looking at ways. I'll be giving people the skinny on whether or not Rent Help Minnesota has any money. Currently, it does in Washington County, but not in Ramsey or most of the rest of the state. So the question, so that's the program. Both Bill and I have been around the block a couple of times on giving presentations. My question is kind of outreach for attendance and promotion. So we've got information has gone out already on it. We'll be sending out information again to the folks that go into our networks. I'm going to just let you all know that I'll be talking to Bill, and we'll be putting together kind of a two logos and maybe a picture or two of us to have something that's a little more of a online flyer. And so when that comes out, we'll be sending it to all y'all, and we'll look forward to you guys spreading the word as well. This is the first of our lunch and learns, and so we'll be learning as well about it. Are there any thoughts or comments on it, or things that we need, or things that we should look for on it?
John, if you want some time this week, I'm happy to volunteer time just to kind of work through what that would look like for you. Make sure that you feel confident and comfortable, since I won't be able to be there to support you. I'd love to be able to give you that time, just so that way it makes an easier transition for the first one that we're kicking off.
Excellent. Anybody else on that point?
How
All
are we
right.
promoting it? Are we sending an email out to all the members?
Contact list.
The entire contact list, so not just our members. So everybody we've got anything for. Gonna be good.
And then those of us that have other outside people that might want to come. I mean, it's an open, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
okay, as long as we want to share. Because I am wondering, I didn't think I saw it on the agenda unless I missed it. Are we not also in a time where we're in the annual membership renewal period? So that the more people that we can get to this and sort of promote that, as we might kick off the year with folks still having money in their budget for memberships, as we all have limited amounts. If they're looking to join a new organization and they have a good experience, to get to know us and learn about how we're set to serve throughout the year, that might be a time to capitalize on that, is all I'm thinking. Is there someone on the board, with Katie not going to be there, that would be speaking a little bit about membership, just doing a promo? I don't, maybe this has all been talked about, but if you need any support for that, let me know. Or
I think ending with a 2-minute ask
Yep.
is a great idea.
perfect.
Scott is going to be, I believe Scott's going to be starting it, since I'm a presenter, although as we're going to go to kind of how we get the work of class done is our next major agenda item.
Perfect.
I'm going to be more focusing on the lunch and learn. Scott's going to be focusing more on the networking events.
Sounds great.
But if this first one, I think, because I'm on that. So if Lynn, if you're willing to do that, I'll take it in a heartbeat.
Well, maybe that's a good
Oh.
segue, John, as we
Yeah,
take
the
a look
discussion.
at the,
Okay.
like under the co-president, Scott, the need assistance from current board members. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at the different needs that we have this year as a class board, whether liaison help, other board members that don't have a specific role? If you haven't already looked at that,
In terms of our agenda, that gets us to page 1. After having dipped down deeper in.
right? So maybe I should have said back to page 1.
Okay,
But if you want to take a look at that, we can get to that in just a second. And maybe we'll start to follow the order of this, John. Just
There you go.
and I just have 2 things that I will say, and then I'm going to let you take over kind of the assistance from current board members, or do you want me to handle it and keep working with that? You can think about that, John.
I think that I'm looking at executive team reports and everything under your name.
Yep.
And
I'll
you're gonna
handle
do
that
that.
then, good.
All right.
So as we have mentioned before, first of all, we always are planned to, in these board meetings, talk about and just state that for the record, we recognize that we have a board member who is also getting paid as a contractor. About a year ago, we mentioned that this is going to be stated because it's not necessarily regular practice, but we want it to be known through the recording that we've talked about this as a board, and we will make certain that Kate will abstain from any votes that have anything to do financially for class, but felt that the service she could provide would not be conflict with also being a board member and getting paid for her web service with us. So again, it's nothing that we're really putting up for discussion. It's already been determined, but we said out of courtesy, we're going to mention it every board meeting. So in case we were ever audited, it's an awareness factor. Moving on, Cindy sent me an email. Tax prep is completed, but her and I are going to meet to get it filed and make certain that I know where all the tax records are. And then we'll get that probably put into the cloud as well, Kate. But I'll know a little bit more from her when that happens. So kind of keeping things moving along, because this next part really becomes a really big focus for this meeting, in my opinion, because up until this point, we've had a lot of things that have needed to get done as a class organization or needed to be having responsibilities in terms of somebody who's in charge of some of these bullet points here. And today we'd love to start that process of getting those assigned or people stepping up to volunteer for that, to fill the roles that we really need to be effective with some of the planned events and focuses that we have for 2022, i.e. our lunch and learns, our networking, and even just some of the peripheral events that may come into play. If we find that we can set a whole, maybe not 4 different events this year, but if we were able to get 1 or 2 additional events around our 4 pillars, if we've got people that are on the team here that can help head that up, I think it's good to get that identified now. So what we're looking at is, as part of our organizing of the networking meetings, again, I will be involved, but I'd love to have a coordinator that's going to help me with getting out announcements that could be playing a part in follow-up with anyone who hears about us and wants to get added to our contact list. Anything that may help me in setting up what the agenda for the networking meetings might look like. Somebody who may come up with our breakout session questions, somebody who may be able to coordinate with me on the networking event itself. So that is what that is all about. Sending out the emails, invitations, updates, and so on. We're also looking for some grant writing assistance. Christine and both Diane Graham-Rath and John and I, excuse me, I think with that, some of the expertise from both Christine and Diane, if we feel that there's a need that we do need to work on some grant writing, that we'd love to be able to still continue to count on you for that, Diane, to help us really lead that way. More details to follow. We're not certain what path we need to go down, but we'd love to see if your name would be able to be associated with that. A lunch and learn coordinator. John has kind of stepped up to say that from a coordinator standpoint, he will do that, but we're looking for another member to be on his team, helping to coordinate the speakers, helping to coordinate what that event looks like. Maybe being somebody who doesn't have to be talking, I'm sorry, not being the speaker, but doesn't necessarily have to be the moderator of that, but somebody who can be behind the scenes with John to coordinate it and give him some assistance. Let's see, our educational planning developments. With the affordable senior housing, John, what did we mean by that? Is that in case we had an event, the first one would be for a housing event?
Well, that we are continuing to look at educational planning. So the Lunch and Learn is our education and advocacy program for 2022 that we decided last year. But what other educational options are we got, as people may or may not be getting back face to face a little bit more? And so focusing on what that education is. And I look at the folks that are, you know, directly the folks that are running the programming here as well, to see if there's anything that, I mean, between New Brighton and White Bear Lake, there's a little stretch of turf. But you know, where can you know, what is there like group educational stuff that we can do when we bring all of our minds together in class that helps, that we'll be able to, you know, come together, spring something up and fan out. I think that's the goal behind it.
Yeah, sounds good. So that's not in the immediate future as we get some of our other events going, but it certainly is something for us as a board to be considering moving down the line here. And then we're going to look for somebody to help represent class at other groups. We would like to find somebody who can be an attendee of the age-friendly Ramsey County that can at least report back, whether they're actively on that committee or a listening ear that's on their monthly or bi-monthly calls, and be able to come back to class and talk about what is happening in that arena. And, you know, I don't know if Elise, Diane, do you know, would she even be able to do something like that with her role?
Elise actually hasn't really been part of that. Julia and I have been.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, we can draw on Elise for expertise, but Julia and I have both been part of that. So I think either one of us could do that.
So when we look to say if we needed a representative from class to attend, if we didn't have somebody regularly for that, that's, in other words, I'm hearing you say that you and Julia could help class be represented.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And then now Julia has left, so I'll just, there's really, you know, maybe you can give a brief update in a little bit, Diane, because we wanted to have that part of today's meeting. But then also finally looking for a MICA rep to be representing MICA and working with John a little bit to attend some meetings that were there and to be able to report back. So it's not always just John doing that. So it's kind of a big list. You know, right now we've got Michelle, who's going to be very busy in, well, not very busy, but she's going to have the treasurer role. That's busy enough, especially with what we've got going with a new membership drive coming up. We've got Kate, who's still going to be involved with kind of that part of it with membership drive coming in. Kate's going to be busy with getting people set up with their websites and their connective links for the class website. So that said, we've got a couple people that we'd love to see if they have interest in Allie. I know that you're heading out on maternity leave coming up soon here, so that's going to be a little difficult. But I'll stop talking now that we've gone through the list, and let's see if we can fill in some of the lines here. And we have-
Um,
Go ahead.
So Ally, go.
Jen, I can help with some lunch and learns. My goal during maternity leave is to try to put these on the family calendar so that I may have a child with me or three.
Well, we think that would be good. We'd love to see the child. I told you before, we want to
Hey.
make this as family oriented as we can here.
This thing's gotta
Yeah.
come out
Whoa.
sooner. I mean,
Yeah,
we're right
yeah.
on this border.
Oh, Lady Jane. Oh my God.
Can't, Ally, I can't say I've been there, done that, but boy, I certainly feel for you.
Well, my doctor says I'm measuring just perfect, spot on, and I keep thinking, oh, for reals? No, it's all good. I actually am measuring exactly how I measured with both of my last two, like spot on to the exact, like millimeter, centimeter kind of a thing. So
Good.
we'll see what happens. But no, I'd love to help with the lunch and learns. Again, I will be out, but I can try to get some work done in between. And John, I can actually send you my personal email too, because
Sweet.
I will mostly check that while I'm on maternity leave and see if I can help out at all.
Awesome. Great.
Are you
great.
gone for 12 weeks or is it longer?
No, I'm gonna take the full 12 weeks.
Mhm.
So my plan is to be back if baby comes on time, which would be February 25th. I'll be back like the second to last week in May,
Mhm.
but I can, like I said, I can be reached in between. It's just my work email will get forwarded to the person that's gonna take over for me. So, I mean,
Got
you
it.
could ask her, but she's gonna say, I don't know what the heck this means.
So I need that back channel. I also saw Katie come online as we put the call out to volunteer. So Katie, yes, please.
Yes, one funny thing for Ally, at our last senior lunch, one of my coworkers is also about to have a baby. And one of the seniors asked her if she was growing a baby. So.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, everybody around here keeps telling me I'm having twins, and
Yeah.
I'm to the point now where I'm like, the next person that asks me if I'm having twins, I might punch them in the face, which I guess I didn't have with my last two, but I guess it's called pregnancy aggression. I
Ally,
guess
are
it's a thing.
Ally, are you having twins?
Oh, not fair. It's a virtual.
The only chance I had.
We've only had one heartbeat. That's all we found. But my sister-in-law had
good.
spontaneous triplets, and that still has me like a little panicky. So until
Fingers
it
crossed,
actually
you're
comes
only
out-
growing one baby.
Thank you.
If you need frozen meals, I have a friend who puts together that kind of stuff on a regular basis. So you just
Nice.
ask.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So are you saying-
volunteering.
Katie's, yes.
Go ahead.
I also can help with lunch and learns. I am like, because we have someone who's also about to be out on maternity leave who helps with a lot of my position, feeling that capacity edge right now. Lunch and learns I can help with. If there's like event stuff, let me know. I can, if it's helpful to come up with networking questions and things, I can help with that stuff. I have limited time, but those things feel doable.
Good. Great. Lynn, were you chiming in?
No, I was just gonna clarify. Ellie, are you saying that for the next 3 months, you would want us to email you any class through your personal email so that if you wanted to hop onto a network email or things like that, so that it doesn't get lost in the emails being forwarded to your coworker? Okay.
Yes. Yes. I can actually, I'll put that in the chat right now so everyone's
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, that's totally fine. That would be great. My husband's gonna say, really? You're going to another Zoom meeting? And I'm gonna say, yep, check out, see you downstairs for a while.
It's mental health. It'll be your mental health breaks. Adults not asking for food.
Hey, I have to admit though, he's pretty fortunate that he gets to be home with me for 5 full weeks.
Yay.
Ramsey County offers their employees a 3 weeks fully paid maternity leave,
Nice.
which he gets more
Oh.
paid maternity leave than I do,
Yep.
which makes me
Wow.
floored, but that's okay. He's got as much hard work as I do helping with the
Yeah,
other
spread
ones,
it
so-
out. Share the love. Yeah.
Exactly, so.
Excellent. I hope it all goes well. I'm sure it
Yeah.
will. And we're anxious to hear the updates and see pictures coming up here. So please send them up. Lynn, is there anything that, as you've looked at this, that looks like something that you'd love to have fall in your plate? Would you like to do some more networking with me? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my scheduling is pretty rough right now because I'm an instructor at this point. I had more flexibility before, and now I'm actually trained as an instructor in these classes. So I have limited capacity. Early morning things are going to be fine. Any of those lunch and learns is going to be tricky for me because I'm teaching classes during those times. So when you say networking, what do you, I guess I'm not, I mean, I'm willing to hop on and do a shout out for the membership. I don't have capacity in my 24-hour work week at this point to do more of the emailing and all that I don't have. I'm caregiving for my mom who's in late stage dementia. So I'm having to put some pretty strict, so I'm in a new stage with that. So I would like to be supporting the networking during the networking. I guess my time is during, I don't have capacity to add to the prep, but so I hear you asking for the prep. Is that what I
would really like help with prep. So we're gonna
Yeah.
I'd like to find somebody. Well, let me ask you this then. If I found somebody to maybe help me with the prep, are you interested in running the networking meetings?
Yeah, at this time I totally could. I mean, if it just means hopping on and I haven't done breakout rooms and all that, but I'm sure it could if I had Kate's help, I think all that would be doable. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's actually, I thought it was going to be tough. That part is actually really quite easy. So
Yeah, that's something I could stand to. The only thing, there's always I'm on jury duty the next networking meeting, so that's not going to help you.
oh, wow.
Now that I just turned to March. Yeah, I might be available, but you don't want to depend on me if I'm on jury duty.
All right. Well, it sounds like we've got to look for one more assistant then for.
Yeah, the other thing is we have a couple people on the board that aren't on the call today, right? We've got Christine
and Elise.
Yeah, so, and they're both very wanting to be involved too. So I guess let's know that we don't have a full board right now.
Sure. And so then I guess I would ask, just knowing what you are capable of.
Do you want me to do some kind of a networking piece at the upcoming next Wednesday? Do you want me to pull up a 30-second screenshot of the benefits of being a member? I mean, we can go however we want with this. I don't know who's, I don't know. It depends on our audience.
Actually, I have an idea for you, Lynn.
Yeah.
Because of kind of the advocacy that you did at the end of the year, getting people onto the board, I think that you had a lot of passion and energy behind that. If you could put that into an email, even if you're not able to attend or be part of certain activities, having that language that somebody could read from, coming from your perspective as president, could be very helpful.
So language around what? Becoming
a member,
okay.
Maybe your experience,
Okay.
your story of how you went through and then you took on the presidential role, because it might inspire someone else to want to follow a similar path.
Yep.
And all that is telling your story without having to take away separate time that you don't have to give right now.
Okay.
That's very meaningful.
I can do that. I can work on that. And then you all can use it where you see it fit. And I also was involved prior to COVID in, we had it in our board packet a couple of years ago, a list of member benefits. And I worked on that. And quite honestly, those still stand true today. And so I will just resurrect some of that and make sure that that's included so that if that needs to be part of conversation or screen sharing, you all have access to that. I'll make it maybe a little bit more relevant and current to our current work. Does that seem like I can definitely do that? I'll put together a little bit of my perspective and then member benefits, and then that can get used however. Should I send that to you, Kate and Scott and John?
Send
Sure.
it to
Yep.
the team. Yeah.
Yep. And I'll work on that this week so you have it for next week and then if however you want to use it.
So Lynn, I thought that you'd said that you could come to this next lunch and learn and
I
do
can.
pick. Okay, so you can just fold that
Yeah.
into that,
That
and we'll
sounds
give
good.
you 3 minutes instead of 2.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yay.
So would that be at the end of how much content are you doing, John?
We're planning on having me and Bill be from 15 to 20 minutes each.
Okay.
And with some specific Q&A, then general Q&A,
And it's a 12 to 1?
12 to 1. Yep.
Yep, okay.
Well, I think, to keep this moving along here, because we're running a little bit short on time per se, I think we've hit on some of the topics for filling some positions, and we've got a few more people that we will wish to talk with regarding, what's left there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Allie and Katie, for stepping up to be helping in our lunch and learns. And thank you, Lynn, for the assignments that not assignments, but the volunteer things that you're willing to do to help perpetuate some of these events coming up and the message that goes with those. Anything else, John, that you see with that? Kate? Okay. Quickly moving along here regarding the treasurer role with Michelle coming up this Friday. Kathleen Tuckner, myself, and Michelle will be meeting to start the transition for the treasurer role to make it official for class. I think the week after that, or within 2 weeks after that, we will be also going to the bank to sign any documents for getting signatures and making that part legal with class. So we're making it happen. That'll be a good thing. Hopefully Michelle's not too nervous about things, because we'll help you along the way. And Kate, for you quickly, you've got a couple different things under the secretary role here. You want me to just mention it, or you want to talk about the board meeting minutes, or is there anything else in that next category here?
So just so everyone is aware that all board meeting minutes and the recordings are posted to the website. So if you do miss any of these, you can find them. The same is true also for networking and will be for the lunch and learns. And that's a way to try and keep members connected when they are unable to attend, because we all do understand the challenges that you'd love to be at something, but you just can't. So that's been an effort that we've really tried to put forward. I can't always say that it's immediate. Again, this is kind of its grassroots, so I try and convert it and get to it when I can. But I do, just so everyone knows, I go back and I re-listen to each of the videos and try to capture all the pertinent data that is discussed during the meetings and disseminate in the chats, like what should be on there, so people have a very clear idea and can quickly read if they don't have time to listen or watch, and they can watch if they'd like to be able to feel like they've participated. So that is going to be an ongoing piece, just not necessarily a specific timeline of completing it.
So you're saying that my stretching may not be included on the recording, and
Oh, it's definitely included.
Allie's tummy might not be on there. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
It won't be in the documented part. All
Okay.
else is going to be on
Very
there.
good. Very good. Okay. Anything else, Kate?
I think that takes care of it for the meeting minutes, just as a friendly note to include in the conversations about members. With logging onto the website and going through we've run into a couple things right now where people are either already members or they are renewing, or they're new to us and they want to be able to send in a check. So we're going through different layers of how we're addressing those, and we're getting to that. I can see a major influx. The other thing that's not currently included in the login information is there's no way to ask people to send me a PDF because it's an autofill document. And It's still very new to folks about including some link to social media or a community page or their website where there's the opportunities to share upcoming events for your specific organizations. There is talk about trying to create a newsletter where we can do that and sending it. Still very early stages. John and Scott can talk a little bit more about that. But again, we don't want to burden and bog down our time with sending about every little update and have to worry about how we're sharing that. So it's a discussion to have with the board about how we want that to be displayed and shared with members or non-members who may become members in the community, and trying to show the benefits of being members. So that way, maybe at some point we've done these things and made these steps that we could potentially ask for a little bit more that would help with classes budget to be able to put on quality programs. So, and scene.
All right, thank you.
So is there a planned email going out about membership, just so I have sort of a baseline of what's already been talked about?
There is, right, Kate?
I think there's a plan to have a plan. We might be pulling from last year's, but I don't believe that we've drafted one for this year.
So, okay, so if there was going to be one going out before next week is all, I wanted to make sure I was up to speed on that, or if not, so that if the folks will want a prompt to say, hey, if you want to join, you'll be getting an email because you received an email for this event, because it'll go out. So to have it happen after the meeting might make a lot of sense if I can tell people to look for that to join.
And it can be mentioned that our website is ready to take people right now. I mean, we've got 5 or 6 that have already registered.
Yeah, I mean, I did that, but that's because I knew to go in there and renew, and but to make it easy for folks to say there'll be an email coming out at the end of February, kind of a thing.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that, Kate? Are we good for now?
Let's keep moving forward.
All right. Let's see, I'm going to ask if everyone's had a chance just to quickly review, and my apologies, sending out the financial statements that Kathleen had sent to me. I just got them out today. It's really nothing that's too new. There's a few new entries on, let's see here, memberships that have come in since our last meeting and a couple expenses that have gone out. Year to date, end of December, we're looking at a balance of $3,838.50 in the class account. And that includes, we got the Ramsey County money that came in. So that has been included in there. And the Vadnais Heights Area Community Foundation check has gone in there. So $300 for Ramsey County and $1,000 for the community foundation. On top of that, we had mentioned last time, and this is still in process, I'm working with Heather Peterson with Alina. She has interest through her division within Alina, to make a donation, not a grant, but a donation. It still has to be tracked. We still have to do a little reporting, but it's not quite as in depth. And I'm going to be asking for $3,000 on that. And that kind of leads us into, if something like this does come into class, we need to have a separate budget meeting to talk about what does the rest of 2022 look like in terms of what we have for our spending, our known expenses, possible expenses for some events, and what else do we need for grants? And I think with that, first of all, any questions that anyone has quickly on the financials for year end here. The next one is going to show quite a few more memberships that will come in. And if not, I feel that this is probably a good transition as we're talking about grants. John, I'm going to have you take over on the grant writing fundraising piece of it, because you had great input at our meeting last week that we were prepping for. So would you be okay talking on that?
Sure. Well, so one of the questions as we were looking at grant writing is, okay, well, what are our costs? And what have we been able to do to keep Kate on and her, the dual track of being secretary and also being able to immediately turn over and spread the word via our internet and other communications. So we're basically looking at the question, what do we need for 2022? We may be having face-to-face meetings in the second half of 2022. I think that is what's COVID taught us, not to count on anything, but to have some idea, plan A and a plan B. So we may be looking at more, as the agenda said, what do we need if we are doing community presentations, if we're going to Manitou Days, if we're getting out within the community. Before COVID, we had talked about trying to do 4 educational events and 4 advocacy events a year, 8 events face-to-face. We're starting to talk about food costs, about speaker costs. And as we look at growing through the pandemic and into our new world, it's likely that we'll need $4,000 or $5,000. We could certainly do a lot of the things that we talked about this year and with pandemic, post-pandemic in that area. So this means we have to create probably a plan A, plan B budget with a little bit of draft operating budget and goals to present to our next board meeting. And so we had just wanted to say, okay, who do we have that we want to be part of this discussion? Scott and I and Michelle are totally on the hook for that because of our positions. We would love to have folks who've got grant knowledge, community connections, knowledge of what the costs are for outside events or for those kind of things. So this would be a separate meeting, single meeting, separate meeting. I'd like it to be an hour between now and our next board meeting, which is April 4th. Is anybody willing to come to that? Just raise your hand. I see Katie. All right. Budget.
Again, keep in mind as we take a look at what we did this year from the beginning balance of 2021 of $5,531.16 to end it with $3,838. With the revenue that was coming in, the expenses that are going out, I thought it would look worse than this. I really did. So thankful that we ended the way we did, and with some other opportunities coming in, just to, we don't have to be flush with cash. That's not what we're looking to do. We need to be reporting. We get grants that are coming in. We need to be able to have a project in mind, but to not come at the end of the year with almost down to zero and really begging and trying to figure out what we're going to do. This feels much better. I think we've been financially fiscal. We've been paying for Kate, which we knew we would, and we've been paying for the Zoom invoices to host these kind of events. Beyond that, it's been nominal. And so I think we're doing okay with that. Any help we can get to get this up and higher, to feel more comfortable and confident that we can host an event without panicking as to how we're going to do it, I think would be really good.
As a news treasurer, I'm happy to hear I don't have to panic.
Yeah.
You are, yes, right.
No, we were very aware we were on we're going to make it through this. We have hope. We have faith that there is a beginning, a middle, and some kind of after to the pandemic. But we also didn't push membership really hard for a year because we were like, well, what are we going to be able to do? And in that year we said, we're going to do networking because people really need to connect. Oh my gosh, they need to connect. And based on that and the continued growth and regrowth, we've been able to get memberships coming in. And so that'll be good.
And to add to that, I remember a particular call that I was on, John, with you and Scott and Tara, And we made the agreement that the purpose of class at the time was going to be keeping the lights on, like at a theater. Like
Mhm.
the shows are on hold, everything is down, but we're going to keep the light on so people feel like they have a place to come. And I think because we've been able to do that, and we have been very lean and cognizant that we've never made any major expensive leaps that would put class in jeopardy. We've always tried to be very conscientious of how we can still sustain and maintain until we could kind of reinvest efforts to financially grow where we need to.
So,
John, could I ask this? The budget committee that's going to be getting together, I think it's fair that we put this out there that I think we will have some discussion as to whether or not the following year we will look to raise our membership fees, not this year, but the following year, because of some of the added benefits that our members are increasingly getting through what we're adding to class. Is there anyone who won't be part of that meeting that has a feeling one way or the other, whether a $5 increase or a $10 increase is egregious? Do we go from 25 to 30? Do we go to 35? And the larger part of it is having a lot to do with, we are going to really work hard to have our members have a sounding board, that monthly newsletter piece that we're going to be providing that is really, I think, going to be a great way for them to promote. Allie, you got programs going on in New Brighton, you want to promote it in a given month, boom, you'll be able to do that. So, Katie, same thing with you in Vadnais Heights. So being able to do those kind of things, if you're not going to be at that budget meeting, do you have any input, yay or nay, on membership increase?
I'll be there, but my 2 cents off the top of my head is think about what we need that membership to be, what amount we need it for, and for what. And, we raised the prices at the senior center not long ago for membership, which threw people over the moon. And we raised it quite a bit, up to $30, which was crazy business.
From what? Where were you at, Michelle?
Lynn, were we at 28?
28.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we didn't go. There was real intention around not going from 20. I was there from 25 to 28. That was hell.
Crazy
And
business.
then we knew 28 to 30 was going to be rough, but I mean, so we divided it in half. So yeah, go ahead, Michelle. I've got a few
My
things.
thought would be that I would say we foresee in the next 5 years that we're going to end up being at 35 anyway, I would make the $10 leap versus baby steps. That's it.
That's a good
'Cause
perspective.
I feel like those baby steps at the senior center were painful.
Yeah, because you've got people on limited budget who, I mean, Medicare goes up, their Social Security goes up, but it doesn't even meet their Medicare raise. I mean, like those, so nobody's cutting even, and everybody's having less monthly income.
Right.
So I get why that happens. I'm right now online looking at some of the other local professional organizations that sit like we do. The St. Paul Senior Workers Association is currently at, if you're a new member, which they do similar work as we, they're a professional only organization, $30. But here's the deal. They put on 2 conferences a year and you get a discount from the conference if you're a member. So I myself will join just because that's going to save me. So I want, just so that we understand ballpark, like who's in the same space. If we're going to go to 30 like them, we have to have a little more in the benefit category, because that's what those of us that have been used to paying, that's what we're getting. We're getting a discount on something, or we're getting free CEUs, and that would cost us something. So that's worth money, right? That's worth value to us.
Right.
So I don't know that we're in the $30 camp compared to what's already out there. So my vote would be to keep it at 25 unless we know we're going to shift and bring something new into our scope that's equitable to some of the other like professional organizations. So
Do they have a website with members that are actually there? And they, okay,
Yep.
I'll have to go
St. Paul-
visit that.
So it's stpaulseniorworkers.org.
I'll look
So
at that.
it's 3:04. Is there anybody else? So Lynn, you had a list of benefits that you were
Yep.
going to do for that. If we can have that before.
I'll
just
get
send
that to everybody. I'll get that to you guys ahead of time.
And I'm sure it's a document that's in there anyway. The last thing I see on our agenda was a discussion about the newsletter. And as we're 4 minutes over, I think that we table that. Or try and do it online and not here.
Yeah, I think that'll probably come up in the budget discussion, John.
Good point.
All right.
Alrighty, nice meeting, everybody.